My name is Tom Sweetser, a Jesuit priest whose ministry is to be a help and resources to parishes across the United States. I've published a book called Can Francis Change the Church? It came about because I was working with pastors and parish leaders, staffs in 2010, and I noticed that a number of active people were pulling away from the church, some of them leaving the church entirely. I decided to find out why this was happening. I wanted to talk to people who had gone through this and find out their reasons. Because of my work with parishes across the country, I was able to assemble a sampling of 55 people who fit this criteria of being once active and regular mass goers, but were not doing so any longer. Of this group, a third had left the church entirely, and 2/3 had remained members but were struggling. By 2013, I was ready to publish the results, but an important event came about: the election of a new pope. Who knew how that would change things? One thing, though, for sure, is my research was not relevant. It wasn't worth anything. I was about to throw it away when a Jesuit said, No. Go back to those same 55 people now and find out how their attitudes have changed. But I decided to wait for a while so that they would get to know the Pope better, and then go back for a second interview. In 2017, 4 years after his papacy had begun, I went back to my original sample to ask their opinions and whether anything had changed regarding their church affiliation. Of the 55 originally interviewed, 52 agreed to a second meeting. 2 had died, and 1 was not able to participate because of poor health. Of those who did respond, they were very positive towards the Pope. As one person put it, I'm no longer angry at the church anymore. Now I can hold up my head high and say that I'm proud for being a Catholic. One of the persons who had left the church had become an ordained minister in the United Church of Christ. She noticed that fewer former Catholics were joining her congregation, and those who were members were pleased at what the Pope was doing. An older woman who, before Francis was elected, had said, No misbehaving hierarchy is going to shove me out of my church, replied in her second interview, He seems to be so free. He's not afraid of dying, as if he were saying, What have I got to lose? As a whole, both those who had left the church and those who remained affirmed his focus on the poor and the needy, his care for Mother Earth, the way he was confronting clericalism, and his recognition of the messiness in people's lives. Where they felt he could do more was with the role of women in the church, especially in positions of leadership and decision-making. They also wanted him to take a stronger stand in confronting the issue of sexual abuse by the clergy. As one person mentioned, the Pope needs to give those bishops a dressing down. There's not been much movement among those I've interviewed. The ones who have left the church continue to feel comfortable where they are now, while those who still remain members have not returned to active church leadership and involvement. But the attitudes of both groups have changed significantly. They express more hope in the future of the church and wanted to continue in the present direction for as long as possible, even after he is no longer Pope. As one person remarked, will his direction continue after he's gone? I don't know. But the Spirit is moving, and the Spirit cannot be held back.